Welcome to Gaia's rising harmonic field, a temple without walls, mapped by frequency and entered via resonance. Bring your light to the sacred well, and let us drink the waters of remembrance together. I'd like to begin with just a little bit of how we met, because it introduces some of your work, and I feel like not all of your work. So we'll get into that, and I'll let you kind of lead that. But we first met at a liquid light ceremony near Austin, Texas, at the beautiful So Hum So Well. And I don't think that we had any interaction before that. Is that true?
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
was
so.
trying to remember if we had like Instagrammed before that.
I
But
think we have some mutual friends, like
yeah,
Sabrina. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it was so special. I don't know if I told you this, but that was the first time that I channeled live in person for a group of people that I didn't know. Um, yeah, with my son present. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot for my nervous system, because I was definitely like, I don't know how this is going to go, but
Mm.
it needed to happen. And I was just trusting the process. And uh yeah, you're once we got started, it was so clear how everybody there was supposed to be there, how everyone was playing a role. And my guides had been telling me that when
Mm.
you experience it, it's really different. It's like this. I didn't know what to expect. I knew what I was supposed to do. And I knew that the other two women who were a part of this trinity with me, that they knew what they were supposed to do, but none of us actually knew what was going to happen.
Mm.
And and that's part of the beauty of just being in the flow. The purity of a living ceremony is letting the transmission come. And while we were in ceremony, you started to sing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, of course it was welcome, but it wasn't like a part of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And the singing was at that moment, I had a really beautiful connection with the Hathor group that was really coming through and had been for quite a while. When you started to sing, I could see their energy just organically, naturally weaving with the current of your voice. And your friend that you had brought, who was also singing. And as those energies, because we were opposite each other, as those energies came together in the center of the circle that we had, it blossomed into this really beautiful grid of light geometry, where I was then present, watching other people's, like everybody else's higher self, weaving those codes like a loom into their bodies. And I knew that part would happen, because that's what I often see when I'm working with these particular energies. But I didn't know that it would be your voice that came to support that instead of mine or Angela's or Sophia's or somebody else. I didn't know. And I just remember reminding myself, stay focused, because I wanted to run over and give you a hug and be like, oh my God, this is so cool. Thank you. Like that, my inner child was like, yes,
Mm.
we did it. We're magic, you
Yeah,
know? And then, and, and I could feel also that singing coming through, and how it just eased my son so much. And he was
Mhm.
already like, I can do this, stop worrying, he
Yeah.
could pick up on my anxiety. And so I had to really let go. But it was just there, it was very multidimensional what was happening when you allowed yourself to do that. And I'm curious for you in that moment. So now I feel like probably should intro you more, but I'm just going to ask the question because everything else will come through. I'm curious if you were to take yourself back to that moment, did you wonder at all if that was okay for you to sing? Because I guess the reason why I'm asking that question is because sometimes we come into, someone else's ceremony and
Mm.
wonder, do I belong in my wholeness? And I wonder if that's something you've had to move through.
What an epic intro. Uh, Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that beautiful reflection.
Mm,
Um, I was so, my body, the moment that I saw the flyer or got the link or however I got to the liquid light ceremony,
mhm,
I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be there.
mm,
Oh, I am going. There was like no question in me about it. I was like there. And yeah, I think it's a huge testament to the container that you had created that held that space for that like open flow of expression.
mm,
Um, Now it's a little more easy for me to show up in my expression, but I've absolutely had to move through that. There are lots of reasons to that I have felt in the past to hold back. And so in that, it was like the the group was so harmonized and unified that it wasn't just about my expression, it was about anybody else who also was gonna want to be expressing.
mhm, mm,
And so I don't recall having a conscious stopping of that. It was like when it was time to move, it was ready to go. And it was like, it was absolutely part of what was supposed to be happening was that sound. And your experience of the Hathors is so moving to me because I love Hathor energy. I'm wearing a Hathor necklace
mm.
actually.
Oh, didn't even notice.
Yeah, the Hathors are the main guides of holographic sound healing. And so that technology that I work with, which is spherical light geometry, multidimensional sound technology,
Mm,
uh, is something that they're stewarding here in our remembrance of. And
yeah.
so the getting to play with living water, with us playing with water, understanding that it is living and revering its aliveness,
Mhm,
like that moment, that shared intention, the coherence that was in that room, your like pristine, crystalline channeling, like
mm,
that whole space, it was so good. I was like, oh yeah, this is why we're supposed to be here. Because right after I had finished the holographic sound healing training, which I did in 2022, it just opened up the world so fast. It was like, hello, you have your instrument now. You could go like safely do the thing that you always said you were going to come and do.
mhm,
And so everything really started clicking into place from being in this place of like, I don't actually know what is happening here. So I'm just going to follow this little beating drum. And it like led me to that training and to my voice and to all the reasons that I love holographic sound healing.
mhm,
Um, and it started showing me that there was going to be these events where it would be about group coherence. And that in that group coherent experience, sound was going to be an integral part of that, sound and geometry and
mhm.
setting up this container. And the stewards of the container, like a whole team of people holding this container, because it's a whole group of people.
Yeah.
And it was about water.
Mm,
And so it was very clear to me very quickly that sound and water were meant to be woven and playing together because it accelerated us into multidimensional consciousness.
mm,
And so that was like this remembrance of the ceremony that we're here to create. And so I felt that with you, I felt that with Sophia, like the
mm.
whole, with Angela, like the whole container, it was
Yeah.
so like, oh yeah, we were gonna like come and do this.
Yeah.
And the way that the field responded and the field we were creating was just like amplifying, amplifying, like
Yeah.
what that allowed to come in and support us. is why I love what we're doing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was remembered at, like, when we say that, the remembrance, it that's a really one of the very, very interesting things about multidimensionality and a multidimensional awareness is that things do come through as memory in ways that the mind doesn't always understand, like the location of where it's coming through.
Mm,
It's a flow,
hmm
and um that's 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 where we can block ourselves the most, really, is just like, where's this coming from? And then doubting, and then it stops,
hmm
because there does need to be trust in the channel, and that's what harmony is, right?
hmm
When we think about harmony, it's it's many, many, many notes, like creating a beautiful sound. All of this uniqueness, right? Even sacred
hmm
geometry has many lines and many notes. It's, yes, it creates one shape, but
hmm
there's so much happening within that shape.
All the
And
other shapes.
yeah, other shapes, all the other shapes, and every every little shape within that larger shape has its function and supports the whole. And that's kind of, yeah, that's really how I see ceremonies, is that we, I love how you said following the beat of the drum. It's like, just follow it. It's
hmm
You are held
mm
current. Why
hmm
not just take a deep breath and see what wants to come through?
mm
Anyway, um
Yes.
so how, yes, so that was our that was how we met. That was
Yeah.
That's a pretty
Yeah.
epic meeting.
I would say so. Like
Yeah.
one of the most epic ceremonies I've ever gotten to be a part of in my life.
Yeah.
And it was about water. We were drinking water together. That was like the main thing we were
Yeah.
doing was like coming in to drink this living water.
Yeah.
And so what that attracted, like what that level of community and shared intention
Hmm.
can produce. Like what it means when we're coming into consciousness and into sharing that intention, intending to connect to the highest possible consciousness as we do it.
Hmm.
And so I think that's one of the things when we're um, talking about craziness in the spirituality, that's like touchy subject. We could
Yeah.
really start raising some antennas having this
Uh-huh.
conversation.
Yeah.
Um, because there is a lot that has been demonized and turned into crazy that actually never was. That's a lot of conditioning that created craziness around like actually the most natural thing you could do, like talk to the earth.
Hmm.
And at the same time, this experience of remembering multidimensionality is enough to crack the psyche. Like
Yeah.
it is enough to overwhelm the system at such a point that you actually are experiencing psychosis.
Right.
And that is something very real too, which is why we get to be really intentional with how we speak and how we use language, which is something that we also find very important and share that. Um, because it's not in everybody's highest good to go rush out and do the psychedelic and do this other thing and have like quick activations where you're like downloading all of the stuff of the universe because you still have to exist on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're still gonna have to like feed yourself and go to the bathroom and stay hydrated and like be in conscious relationship with other people and make sure that you are like housed and you're taken care of and safety is present for you.
Hmm.
And so I think that we get to have a lot of care as we have these experiences with each other and we're going through these things because it is real to the experiencer.
Hmm.
And so we also, as this conscious community, are responsible for holding each other in it and being like willing and able to hold the whole thing where like channelers and people who are practiced in connecting to source and bringing through these intentional transmissions get to experience really wild and amazing things. Like, I
Hmm.
know that's been my experience. It's like some of it is like, is this real? Like, how could this be real? But we also get to connect to the reality that imagination is real. If
Yeah.
you're imagining it, it's because creatively it already exists. So
Yeah.
you're tuning into this field of unlimited possibility where everything is possible and concurrent and parallel. And you're trying to like prescribe it into like, I was born and then I did all this stuff and then I died.
Hmm.
And so we're trying to like make this whole understanding because we are experiencing a life and death cycle. That's part of like the creation on earth. That's what everything around us is showing us is this constant renewal and rejuvenation of life requiring death. And so I think that as we actually do that inner work of experiencing, am I crazy? And having to go through that process, that we find the truth in
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And so that also requires mirrors around us who are holding us in accountability and integrity too, because it can be really easy to go into the fantasy when you start like connecting into the ethers and like you're having these wild connections and you're connecting even to the earth and having wild experiences that it can make people uncomfortable. And so then they're calling you crazy. But that's also inner conditioning where you are thinking, am I crazy?
Hmm.
And so that's the real work is that we have a lot of processing to do with that because as we unweave that, it can be like, can I be okay if I am crazy? Or if other people perceive me as crazy? Like I get to choose the reality that I'm living in and experiencing. And so I also get to make sure that I'm having reflections that are going to hold me accountable so that I'm not going like all the way off the rails, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, nobody else is going to be able to like determine what's going on for you. But there are reasons that like true medicine and stewards of technologies and mysteries go through masteries
Yeah.
and practices and really work their craft to a level of embodiment that then they're like able to share it because yeah, I think it's just messy down here. Like things can get misconstrued and complicated and we have a lot of that we're all unpacking and we don't remember all of it. A lot of it is just hanging out in the subconscious, just co-creating your reality with you until you see the pattern.
That's the really interesting thing about reality is that it renders like
Mm,
for us, and that rendering can happen consciously.
mm,
That is, you know, kind of I feel like what manifestation really is. It's just consciously rendering reality, but there are agreements, you know, that are beyond our individuality. There are agreements within nature, within Gaia, within um the elemental kingdom. There are agreements within humanity, like collective agreements. And so when we talk about activations and downloads and going into fantasy, there's, like you said, there's great care that needs to happen within these because we can't, it's not good for everyone to just expand, 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 expand. We need time to integrate and we need time to embody because that is how the rendering is made conscious. And
mhm,
that is also kindness to the the mind that is evolving with us. It's kindness to the physical form that has to pull in a lot of energy, a lot of high, like very high frequencies, right? Into this compacted form that we have, which
mhm,
is just like light organizing itself,
mm,
like densify. It's just like I see it as a pinhole, like a focal point, right?
mm,
And that's similar to the eye. We have this tiny little hole that light goes in, and that's how we see everything.
mm.
And so if we
I love
can
that.
imagine our bodies as the same thing, it's not maybe not a tiny hole, but it is a torus field, and light
Mm,
is focusing in on that. And our bodies extend out, and there is information here that I am currently touching that maybe I don't see. Maybe somebody else can see it. I'm sure the Hoffers can see it. They probably see us as like these. rainbow bodies,
Yeah.
and we can, with our senses, feel into that, and we can bring it in, and we can work with it, and we can weave with it, and it seems like back in the day, this would be a crazy thing to say. It wouldn't have made sense. But also, if we go farther back, it was well known.
Yeah, it depends
Very,
on the day that we're choosing
yeah.
to pinpoint because we're experiencing the pendulum swing of consciousness, which is
Mm-hmm.
part of what Earth helps us play with, is like what happens when we're totally low vibe, and then what happens when we go to high vibe, and then when we forget about it, and then we remember it again.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go through these big cultural cycles, and like all the planets, like all the everything is supporting us and understanding that that's what's happening right now is that we're going through an ascension portal. We're going from a 3D to a 5D experience. We're raising an ascension. The whole planet is coming together. That's what the Hathors are really supporting us in, is it is collective ascension, not individual popcorn ascension. It's collective. And so
Right.
to do that in the most gentle way possible, because it could be really violently painful or it could be gentle. So the more of us that are intending that it's gentle, the more of us are coming into the understanding of these practices and technologies and things that other humans in other times definitely knew and were doing and practicing.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the people that were able to experience some of these things were really revered. So
Yeah.
some of the mental health diagnoses, they were actually the people that we would be looking at. It's like, uh-oh, if this person is here and that's going on, that means there's something going on in our society.
Mm.
Not that there's like anything wrong with people like being who and what they are, but that there's some things, some of that mental health stuff that we're looking at that is indicative of a larger problem of the society and community. So when we're like going through these waves of remembrance, it's not going to be safe for everyone to just like know their star origins and be like focusing on alien stuff 24/7 and all of that, you know? But there will be waves of that. There will be waves of people that are like, man, I'm really drawn to like research Sirius
Yeah.
or learn about frequency technology
Yeah.
or Arcturians or Lyrians or Pleiadians or these different that starts like percolating and you're like, man, why am I just like kind of wanting to know about that?
Yeah.
And so when people start exploring and remembering that, it's like you take what resonates for you and leave the rest and like notice the amount of consumption that you're doing versus the amount of like being and integrating and experiencing. Because having a meditation or an experience or a memory or a dream or whatever happens in these all these different ways that these things come to us, it's so awesome when it happens.
Mm.
But then we have to integrate that. And it isn't like a single integration. Like in our, before we hopped on here, I was sharing about a past life meditation I had done where I was an alien being. And in this conversation that we were having, I was connecting to that being a Syrian lifetime for me. And that meditation was years ago. That meditation informed so much of my understanding in life. And then what like this even bigger piece of integration that literally just happened right before this call. So it's not something that you're just gonna like bing and then you know all the secrets of that and like have
Right.
an automatic remembrance and memory. It's like this whole computer gets to come online at like the slowest, safest way for you so that it feels good as you remember. Sometimes it may not feel good because sometimes that's the way we like to learn some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal is to like get you feeling good in the change because then change is easier and gentle.
Yeah.
So we really want people to come into this at like the level that is safest for them
Yeah.
and like finding your people that are building at the level that you're building. Because we each have these teams, and a lot of us, those teams have been spread around the planet intentionally
Mm-hmm.
for these convergences
Mm-hmm.
to come and do these things together. So, like, as we tap into the all that is, I would also love to extend the invitation to tap into who is here with you already.
Yeah.
Because this awesome help that comes from outside and this help within our immediate imagined network, and then the help of actually like what exists to support us on this planet. And
Mm-hmm.
when we start really intentionally making that call for those people, and that's what I think these ceremonies are doing, is they're like spreading the
Yes.
call. Like, hello, we are setting the net really wide this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is where we're going to be doing the magic.
Yeah. It's anchoring in I say anchoring in the light, but even as I say that, I'm getting this notification that might even be already considered old paradigm
Mm,
because we're already the lights already there, the frequencies are already there, they're rising through Gaia, the harmonic field already exists, it always has. This is not different from, at least in the understanding that my guides have shared with me over the years, is that it's the harmonic field isn't actually different from that kingdom that Yeshua would have talked about. The kingdom
mm,
of God is here.
mhm,
That's what this is.
mhm,
And um so we have to entrain with it.
mhm,
And that is about us listening and
mm,
being co-creators in manifesting the reality of that, or allowing it to render in our collective field, because we can have it render in our individual field, but then that's where we get into this, like, I'm seeing things that other people aren't seeing,
mm.
or I'm experiencing things that other people aren't experiencing, but we all can experience what do they call it, the bliss molecule. We can all experience learning and through joy.
Mm.
Not all learning has to be through suffering. That is
Yeah.
simply at a density.
Mm.
And it doesn't, it, to say that isn't to disregard the lessons we've learned through pain, because
Right.
that's powerful. It's so powerful, and um, has been and likely will remain necessary to some degree to some people in some situations. I'm just like being very vague right now because I don't
Yeah.
want to get into
Because for
this.
now, we don't get to decide when we collectively decide we're done with suffering, but we're getting closer all the time.
Also, I think there's this, whenever we are rejecting something, there's a piece of our energy is with them in that rejection, or with that thing in the rejection. And
Mm.
rejection is not harmonizing. It is like pushing away. And
Mm.
so I feel like good examples is like moments in my life where I have been experiencing a lot of pain. Sometimes the best thing to do is just listen to it.
Yeah.
I feel like I got off track here. Um, the anchoring in of the light. So we have ley lines, song lines, dragon lines all around the planet, whatever we want to call them. I think there's probably different octaves of the same thing, is what we're referring to when we're getting at that.
Yeah.
But there are these convergent points, and the planet shifting in nodes as well. And
Hmm.
so it's almost like if you think of the Rubik's Cube,
Hmm.
how things twist and turn, and
Yeah.
then you have like new alignment, and then something's cut off, and then something's turned back on. What I'm being shown throughout this project is there's a bit of that happening.
Yeah.
Um, and so there are convergence points that we are collecting at. These are often sacred sites that are known already. And then there are some new ones, not new, but newly realigned. And those are also being activated. And as we, not just through this project, but many people around the world who are gathering through continuation events that are continuing through the pop ups, whatever, they are gathering and they connect
Hmm.
and they entrain with that field. And then, yeah, this is where we're getting back to what you said, it's spreading. So as we come together and we do this work, I don't like saying that. That doesn't feel like the right language to use, but we're going to go there
As we
anyway.
play and co-create and
As we
weave together.
play and as we co create and as we weave together and as we listen to the field, as we listen to one another, that harmonic field is going to inform us of what is like needed, what is required. Like what is the most joyful way to co-create with elements, with the planet, with the animal kingdom, with the energy of the stars, like all of it. And when we do that, we strengthen the field. It becomes, it's like a tuning fork. We are tuning the harmonic field, and it becomes clarified,
Mhm.
and then it gets to stay. It
Mm.
doesn't like evaporate. It's not like a mist that just goes away. It gets to stay there, um, because that is the conscious intention, and because we are in listening to the entire field. Therefore, it's not just us doing it, it's all life in that area that is tending to the song that is sung in that space. And then it expands, and eventually they'll connect with one another. And I'm like, to anyone who's like listening, I'm like doing a lot of gesturing here. Like I'm like holding space for Gaia as a sphere, as well as each of these harmonic nodes that I like to call them harmonic nodes on convergent points. And when we come together in those spaces, if we could just imagine like a ball of light, and then another one, another part of the world, and another one. And as they expand, they reach each other like our auric fields. As our auric fields expand, if I reach out my arm, and, you know, if you were to be standing next to me and you reach out your arm, we would be touching energetically. And that's what's happening here. Um, and I feel like, so we have this event and we have a sound bath, and that's so beautiful, but like that's not what's that's not the only thing. Like tripping over my words here. Holographic sound. Let's talk about that for a moment,
Oh,
or a few.
well, it's such a perfect segue into it because holographic sound is the combination of sacred geometry with sound, which is how we access sound's multidimensional layers. Because when we move beyond like drawing a line to like full geometry, there's like a big jump there. And so we're kind of using sound in like a line, and then we're turning it into a sphere. Like you're turning sound into a sphere. So
Mhm.
we're working with holograms and they're based on the flower of life. So when we take that, the pattern, the flower of life, which looks like a bunch of little concentric circles making a flower, uh, and we expand that multidimensionally, then we have a sphere that
Mhm.
is coated with the flower of life.
Mhm.
And so the flower of life is a very special symbol for us because all of the other geometries are created within that.
Mhm.
And so when we expand that, that means all of the geometries are created within that. So we're working with the sphere because the sphere can contain everything. Everything can be made within it. All of the geometries can be made within it. And so then we're also bringing in light because there is no separation between energy and sound and light and color. They're all the same. They're just different expressions and different configurations
As
to
our
express frequency. Exactly. So when we're bringing in the colors, we're bringing in the colors and the geometries, and then we're bringing in sound. And so we're inviting in all of the sound of creation in the most harmonizing way to do that. And so while you were doing some of your gesturing, I was seeing like imagining like a guitar, right?
Mhm.
But then your guitar is like a multi-sided guitar. And then your guitar is actually like all these sides, and you're being tuned with that level of precision. So we're not limited to like a single set of notes. We are literally playing with all of the sounds of creation, and humans have this unique ability to express using their voice and to make a vast array of sound. And so we've been conditioned to only create sound within a very specific way. And when we open up to actually all of the other sounds that we like to make and are like it's possible for us to make and it actually feels good when like we make them or someone around us makes them and there's like actually all of these different sounds that we can play with in creation. And so when we start inviting all of that in, and then we're inviting in guides, higher frequency, like the whole reason that we're that we would even be talking about this is because we're moving into the remembrance of our multidimensionality, right? So why would we use sound multidimensionally? Because we are multidimensional. So not only do we want to be harmonizing this body right here, right now, in this life existence that I'm in right here, right now, but while I'm at it, I would also like to harmonize all the other lifetimes I've ever lived anywhere else and that I might live, and all of the families and systems that are connected to me so that I am my most radiant, whole, divine self. And I'm operating and creating in the life experience consciously, knowing that I'm literally divine emanation, creating, playing with more divine creations that all are also choosing their life experiences while
Mm-hmm.
being reflections of me and mine.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like this whole thing that's all woven together, and we're experiencing like, okay, we're on a call, there's two of us right now. But at the same time, this now is also a recording. This is some memory of some future. Someone's watching this recording, or that we don't even know when and who and where and what direction and how that's going to influence what it is, because we're seeing it as this call right now.
Yeah.
And so when we start looking at the bigger picture of what it means, that it isn't just right now that we're influencing and that we're intending about, and we actually can intend way, way, way more. And so in that, it's this remembrance again of who I am as a conscious creator. So holographic sound, one of the fundamental pieces of it is activating your Merkaba, your light body. And so it is not just this physical body, it's actually this etheric, energetic, emotional, spiritual, multidimensional body that is a spherical body of light around you, where you have this connection to source and this connection to earth that is constantly flowing life force through you so that you can keep this healthy, magnetic, vibrational toroidal field around you. And so then as you clear and tune that wonderful instrument, then you become a greater and greater magnet for what you're here to play with and co-create with. So those things that you're like, I know I'm here to do this thing. Well, when you take that information and take that personal responsibility to make yourself a vibrational alignment to it,
Mm-hmm.
then what is immediately going to happen? It's going to come into your experience like a magnet. So we are in the game of how do we remember that we are this, use this technology, but use these practices in such a way that I'm here in my body, I'm living on earth, experiencing this life, while also understanding that I am also living a whole bunch of other lifetimes also.
And that magnet you talk about is also the rendering that I'm
Mm,
talking about. They're the same thing. It's just I see like particles, right? If you're just like not necessarily digital, but just like these little energy, like particles of light that just
yeah.
are dancing around all the time. And they are they have no geometry yet. They
Mm,
are there's they're here for us, available, ready for us to um, create with. And how they manifest, how they render into something that is information
mm,
is a very multi-dimensional process because it is about our our intention, our relationship to ourselves, to our body of light, to all around us. It's our frequency, it's our like our spelling
mm,
into existence, right? It's so many things. And it's these kinds of ideas and conversations that activate a lot of the things that I would read as a child in like religious texts from various religions. I was very blessed with the opportunity to have close friends and to explore um, a lot of different religions from around the world rather than kind of being confined to this is what our family is. And I'm grateful to that. And so when I would go to temple with this friend or talk to this friend's grandmother and learn different things, would see these patterns that are in all of them. I'm like, oh, that's just another way of saying this one thing. And this is another way of saying that thing. And that's so interesting is I would play with it. And so the conversations, I guess what I'm getting at is not only is it validating my inner child who saw things beyond the norm, but also it's bringing forward what was known in the far distant past as when we talk about what we used to know, what used to be normal, these things have been known and
Mhm.
we are remembering them, but we are also creating new with them. The
Mhm.
old becomes new because we need to use it differently, because we have a different relationship to it's a different era, it's a different time. Like Gaia also has her own feelings and thoughts about like how she wants to create with her children. When we spoke the other day about just kind of connecting for this call, and I shared with you that really emotional channeling that came through where she was saying miscreating with my children like on purpose. It wasn't this idea that she never creates with us, but with all of life, right? But it was like, let's do it on purpose. Let's consciously create it. We experience so much wholeness and so much nourishment and so much wonder through the conscious connection to this planet that gives us our form, that gives us the material of our form, the
Mm.
matter, the ma, right?
Mm.
And she also experiences through us, through our emotions, through our nervous system, through our playfulness, our connection, through our relationships with her. It just like I experience a reflection of myself when you and I connect. And
Mm.
you experience a reflection of you, but I also experience you, and you also experience me. And that is this, there is this, it is what relationship is. And I feel that, yeah, I just
Mm.
had to pause because now I'm just like I'm in a moment of wonder. And so the the flow kind of paused for me just then. And that was due to acknowledging wonder,
Mm.
as I'm just seeing everything that you shared about holographic sound healing and the Merkaba. I have my own relationship with that as um I don't know that we've talked about this much, but I have been like astral travel, like light body travel my whole life. I thought
Mm.
it was normal until I started to talk about it with friends, and they're like, no,
Mhm.
that's weird, Sheena. So I stopped talking about it, but it didn't stop for me. And it's part of my function here as a soul to be able to go up and meet with councils and come back and help people transition and come back into the body. And so I'm very familiar with the function of this sphere as well as how to interact with others. And I'm grateful for that. But as you're talking about holographic sound healing and that, I'm seeing this beautiful, beautiful geometry all around everyone. I'm seeing that flower of life, and I'm remembering what it was like to be a child, while also connecting in with what I feel is a future self,
Mm.
also acknowledging this conversation. And it's like when we spoke before we were recording before about the Syrian energy, just like nodding in recognition, like, thank you for seeing us, thank you for understanding how we can help you. I'm seeing that as well. And so when I paused to acknowledge that wonder, that the direct message was, how do children experience holographic sound healing? Because I actually don't know anybody else who has worked with children with this.
Mhm.
You are the only one I know. Have you done
Mm.
it with families specifically?
Uh, so I have a lot of work with sound and with kids, and the in different capacities, right? So somewhere I'm actually working with the family with sound or with the child with sound, and then others where I've been nannying or in other relationships with children. And so um what makes it really fun is that I'll keep calling them invitations because I think invitations are a great return to remembrance, but you get to accept it or not.
Mhm, mhm.
So, I think that that's an important part of consciousness and discernment is that, always take what resonates for you and leave what doesn't. But kids, because of you were even talking about the trance state that you experienced,
Yeah.
and that's accessible for kids, and that's really where they're predominantly vibing at until around like 8 years old when they start getting pulled into the adult ecosystem more. Um, and so it's an ability to imagine because some of us get really caught up in the idea of I can't visualize, I'm not visually seeing the technology, I'm not seeing the hologram, I'm not seeing the Hathors. Like that's crazy because I don't see it.
Ah, mhm.
But in our multidimensionality, it means that we have physical senses, right? So I can hear stuff, I can see stuff, I could smell stuff, I could taste stuff, I could feel stuff, I could know stuff. We also have that psychically.
Mhm, mhm,
And so before we start telling kids that they're not psychic, they're psychic.
mhm, mhm.
And so that psychic perception is that you're tuned into your other senses.
Yeah.
And when your brain is in an altered state, which again, kids are kind of vibing at, nobody's doing anything wrong. That's how their brain is able to learn so much and create the foundation for them to be
Mhm,
normal
mhm,
is by writing a whole bunch of story code really quickly and then letting them play with it.
mhm,
So when we're going into these altered states, that's the opportunity for us to like rewire something really quickly because we're going into a higher state of
mhm.
consciousness. It helps us access the the difference in perception, um, that multidimensional perception, because it's not limited to what we're just experiencing in the physical. It's connecting back to this etheric web where everything is kind of particle and sound and movement and play and like stories are wiring and writing. And so what's really cool about working with kids and with animals is
Mhm.
that we go right to it. With an adult, I gotta like get you in trained and get you into a coherent state, get you not thinking about your phone or your things for a little bit so we could go into meditation. Some of us are more practiced in meditation, so we need less of that time.
Mhm,
Some of us need more because there's a lot of noise. And so there's not that noise with kids and with animals
mhm.
because they know, they feel you. They're like, oh, you're here to help me. Great. Here's what I need help with. Right. And
Ah,
so some of my experiences with kids and holographic sound is not even in a container. It's a little kid who's coming to me telling me, I'm experiencing this thing and it's scaring me.
mhm, mhm.
And then it's like, okay, well, we can actually bring light into that situation. Like literal bring in the hologram, bring in the sphere. Like we're putting it around your home, we're putting it around you, and we're going to send, like I've even been called to use violet flame with kids. And so like teaching them to use that technology to call in that violet light and then to blast out,
Yeah.
blast radius, the things like clear the energetic field. And I have one of the kiddos that I was working with that was the experience was they came to me, they told me I'm having some nightmares. It's like really scary. There's all these things crawling around the house and they're like chasing us and it's like it doesn't feel very good. It's making me feel like scared in the day.
Mhm,
And so we did a clearing on the house together and
mhm.
inviting him into that. And like inviting him into the rainbow sphere, bringing this technology in, not in the like, okay, this is your Merkaba, buddy. Now we got to talk about this. Like, you got to not understand these things, right? And then so in that experience, right after we did the clearing, he said, oh, they all went away. And then he just went back to playing.
Yeah.
And so for us, we may have more processing that we need to do. Like we need to know what those creepy crawly things that are crawling around the house and chasing us and not letting me feel safe in the day is.
Yeah.
That's something that now we have a little more that we have to work on and clearing. There's something else that's sort of dictating it for us. So there's more processing that needs to happen. For a little kid, they don't really need to know all the processing. They're experiencing the thing right now, live time, and they're like, and I would like for it to like be neutralized.
Yeah.
And so they can have a quantum experience where then that thing's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
That can like regulate the thing because not only did we address it in that real time, but we taught them a skill
Hmm.
that they can do that. They can come into a regulated place, invite that in, imagine the geometry, and they could set the intention that their family is safe. Like
Yeah.
that they are actually the conscious creator of like this. And so it's not doing it in a way that's like scaring them or amping it up or doing all these things or like, but like what are the tools that we would teach the adults, and can you teach that same thing to a kid? Because a kid also has a light body, is also an ascended master that's chosen to go through the veil of forgetting to come and be a human in a human experience.
Absolutely.
And so they don't need to be convinced of that. Like, so it's really, my work is really magnetic because we're moving into the time when our light body is saying, hello, I would like an upgrade, please. I'm ready for like some big stuff, cool stuff, and I would like to feel a little more harmonized and grounded as I'm experiencing it. And so when that's happening, when you're going through these different up levels and awakenings and dark nights of the soul and ascension journeys and transitions and all the things you want to call it, when you start moving through that, I see people becoming attracted to holographic sound healing
Yeah.
because it's the actual like beautiful process and steps and technology that gives you that power. Like it returns because the holograms essentially become a workspace. When we put something in a sphere of light and we are intending that source light and that these earth harmonic lights are coming in to support the harmonization of this thing that we're putting in the sphere of light, it does a workspace for the divine. That means I get to get out of the way. I get to actually trust. So
Yeah.
I get to come in and make sound. And so it's also these sessions with kids are about inviting them to make sound.
Yeah.
Again, that can be a whole journey to get an adult to say, I want a vocal activation. I want to really be able to use my voice, whether that's singing, whether that's speaking, whether that's channeling light language. Again, there's a lot of layers of processing to get to the point where you're saying, yes, I want this.
Yeah.
For a little kid, they just need permission that they could copy the sounds of the animals that are outside.
Yeah.
So can you do that with them? Can you like challenge yourself to make some weird noises so that a kid can be available to hear that an adult can make those weird noises so it's safe for them to make those noises and there's nothing weird about it?
Hmm.
So it's about normalizing this technology. So it's, I mean, people got all kinds of feelings about it, but Starseed Kids is the way to kind of show that there's like technology available in both earthly and cosmic DNA ways that is coming onto the planet to work, and that you have a consciousness where you're going to be open to that connection. Those are the ones that are really drawn to holographic sound healing. And I'm seeing that with the people that I work with, the people who come to these trainings, the people are working with. Like, I see Starseed Kids all the time. They're like magnetized to this work. So there's a big connection to this return and remembrance of these gifts and not waiting until you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s to find it.
Yeah.
It's like you came in with it. Here's how to utilize it and master it now. Like we were talking about, like if we had been given these opportunities as small children to really develop these gifts, to know some of these things, to know about having a light body around us, to know that we can use light in such a way to harmonize the frequencies of our homes, of ourselves, of situations, of our emotions, that it's all safe. Like we're okay because it's all actually held in this light, this like loving light, like the most loving, gentle, wonderful, compassionate light that wants us to like live in health and wholeness.
Yeah. I understand why that train of thought earlier dropped and this was brought into to talk about, because that was full on everything you just shared. And the thing that really comes to mind is everything you just shared is why at these retreats the whole family is welcome, like
Mm,
why children are present. It's not like, oh, they get to come and the parents are going to do this thing and then the kids can go over here in this little hot and color. Like, first of all, my son would not like that. So why would I create programming that I very well know that lots of kids would not be into? Like,
mhm,
but it is because the technology and the tools do not belong to the adults. It belongs to all of humanity, all of life.
mhm.
And and also children have a role in the family's collective field,
Yeah.
their home, how their lives are shared. how we experience life together, the children have a role within that family, and it's a significant one. They might be shorter than their parents because they are younger in their physical development, but they are not weaker in their geometry. Often they are bolder and
Mm,
more powerful because less conditioning, because it's
yeah.
the time for humanity to be brighter, higher,
Yes.
more on fire. Like, I'm not
Yes.
trying to rhyme, but let's just go with it. And
Yes.
then and then also because they have a significant role in the collective field
Yeah.
with the elements and with the animals. And we are, as a society, doing just a grand disservice to all of life by not allowing or creating these environments where children can practice, like sing with their eyes closed, like I was telling you before, putting a coin on the wall and letting it stick,
Hmm.
um, using their voice in ways that seem silly, but it's not silly, it's just sound.
Hmm. And it can be silly
Can be silly,
because
but
sometimes
laughter is
the
also
exactly.
sound and healing.
Sometimes it's the exact sound that I make. And I found that at sound baths, sometimes I'll make sounds that really make people laugh.
Yeah, I love it.
And whenever that happens, it's like it's a whole frequency break. Like the Hathors actually love laughter because laughter is like a reset of frequency. And so that silliness, that's like indicating that there's a comfort. Like
Yeah,
sometimes we laugh because we're uncomfortable, but generally like a good hearty laugh is because we feel safe enough to laugh.
yeah,
And so that frequency is so good for us. It's so healthy to be in that, that sometimes it is silly to break us out of like the seriousness. Because that's a big part of Gaia's frequencies too, is like the playing. And that's what our guides are talking about, is the playing. Like play with it. It's sound, it's light, it's energy, it's magic. It's all like in this field to play with you.
yeah.
And so, you know, there have been waves of ascension going on, waves of souls incarnating to support that happening.
Yeah.
And all of that led to an acceleration because it was working. It's been working. And so now so many people are having gifts that they had when they were children validated,
Mhm.
coming back to, or they're having brand new gifts coming online that they're like figuring out, like, wow, never really did that before, but this is calling me right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, imagine where you are in your life that you had just known from the beginning and you had nothing stopping you. Everything actually was encouraging you to follow that thing because we knew this is exactly why you're here on the planet, kids. You knew from the beginning and let's go. And then you're open to new things coming in because you're like, well, now this is inspiring and exciting me. So I'm going to go over here and follow this. Don't know why, but I'm going to go do that. And then, oh, I'm attracted to something else now.
Hmm.
So we're creating these containers where kids can explore that stuff
Yeah.
because they're also having experiences. They're also existing in multidimensional realms. They're actually closer to that portal and veil than you are,
Mm.
probably.
Yeah.
And so, like, really tuning into their wisdom and their rhythm is something that's really special because you're right. There is a difference between spaces where, like, kids can come and then there's like separate kid activities
Hmm.
versus kids are part of the foundation. They're part of the weaving. Like, this space has been structured in such a way that everybody's going to get to play,
Yeah.
that there's not going to be a limitation in like which things you can come and experience. Like
Hmm.
the whole thing is woven so that you flow with what feels good for you and your family, and you guys can trust that flow because it's going to be opportunities for these kids to return to remembrances of stuff
Right.
and
And
be
it's,
held in that. And that you get to experience that at the same time because how your kid experiences reading the Akashic records and how you experience that and how you could both be experiencing that at the same time and coming into a better understanding or a new understanding of that at the same time, that you could be invited into these vocal exercises, into the ceremony of creating cacao. Like there's going to be so many opportunities for kids, for families, for parents, for people without kids to really be in this intentional space where the ascended master in them and the ascended master in you and the ascended master in me are all playing while holding space for all the egos of all of us too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I feel that tuning into their rhythm is also what creates a sort of grace and gentleness for the activations, for the expansion, just like slowing down to listen to the wisdom of a stone, a crystal, a river, a tree, whatever that is. We slow the mind down so that we can really feel that hum and allow the hum to translate into the information that our mind needs to understand. And so when we do that, it's gentle,
Mm-hmm.
playful,
Mm-hmm.
and deep, but also light.
Yeah.
And it's that middle path, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's so beautiful. And I think also when we're talking about children being closer to that veil, something that I want to acknowledge is just for anybody listening as well, like, and for you, um, most of what I do, I did as a child. I have learned to master it more as an adult, and I will continue to do so. But I I did that and more as a child. And then there was a period of not forgetting, but of rejecting.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was conditioned. And it did happen for me a little bit later in life. I was a teenager really when I started to say I'm done with this because like it's not helping me in the world that I was in. But I went through the death portal and came back with all of these way more intense everything. And I had to almost like learn how to be a human again. And I was gifted that time to do that because I was in a car crash. And so there was lots of broken bones, which means I had to be in bed a lot and just re-healing. But I had to learn how to walk again. There's like all of these different things, but that experience was magnificent because I saw that death wasn't really hot. And there's so much more on that other side that I can share another time with anybody who wants to listen because it's not really a secret. It's just there's a lot. It's not a quick conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But having to relearn, I think, how to be human brought a tremendous sense of wonder to life. And while I rejected a lot of my gifts that I had, I did so only in public, but I kept them secret. I kept them. It wasn't really about hiding, it was about keeping sacred. Because when I had shared my experience to people I trusted, who I thought would understand, who seemed very spiritual, their response was, "That's not real."
Mm-hmm.
And it was um, painful.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I can't trust you with this, so I'm not going to share it. And experiencing pregnancy and motherhood where everything came up again in this sense of like this cannot be a secret anymore.
Mm.
You're not allowed to keep it a secret because you can see what he's experiencing.
Yeah.
He needs to know that it's safe because it's really scary to
Yeah.
a child sometimes, depending on where you are and what's around you, to not have that model of how to be in the world and not of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And um, and so when you talk about an invitation and just inviting a child to come make some silly sounds, it's not always done in ceremony. When you're bringing awareness into that, that is also one of the keys when working with children is that, first of all, it is playful for ourselves. We get to also experience feeling and joy in that. And then also, life is the ceremony. Every moment can be a ceremony. It doesn't always have to be collective gathering. But when a child is having a lot of energy moving through their bodies, which often people call as a tantrum or a meltdown, really, it's a lot of energy and they need support
Mhm.
and listening. They need somebody to show them how to listen so they know that it's safe. And that is done in so many ways. It's done by making lovely sounds. It's done by just sitting. It's done by laughing. I'm reminded of our liquid light ceremony that we did. I remember in the beginning when we opened up to the to the group for anybody to like say something. And
Mm.
my son did. Does your friend have something to say as well?
She has a lot to say right now. I wasn't sure if that's coming through on the recording or not, but
Only a
it's
little
like
bit.
she's very chatty in this moment. So I'm receiving her transmission and yours at the same time.
It's not bothering me.
Oh,
I
I know.
love it.
Yeah.
Um, so he spoke and I remember my nervous system being like, what's gonna come out? Because in home life, that totally welcome, totally natural. But again, this was the first ceremony where he was present and there's live channeling. So I was more worried about, or rather, I detected worried about how would this be perceived by other people? And that's how to let it go. His presence offered me that gift of it's going to be okay, just trust. And if you don't create opportunities for you to trust this, guess what? I'm here. I'm going to create them. So go with the flow or it's going to be brought to you. He said something like, why does everybody look so serious? We should be smiling. This is going to be fun. And
Mm.
everyone laughed. And you're
Hmm.
talking about laughter, you know? And and then at the end he said something, I don't remember what he said, but there were four grown men there who cried. Not that
Hmm.
that's significant, like men cry, but you know what I mean? I just,
It
it is,
actually can be. It's not always easy for men to not only express it, but to express it publicly and to express it publicly in front of children. Like that's
yeah,
asking for real emotional depth from people. And I'm like, everyone has the capacity to
yeah.
experience that, but it doesn't mean that that comes naturally or easily.
Yeah. Or that they don't have a kind of mechanism to withhold it, suppress it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then do it later. So
Yeah.
when I said it's not significant, I just mean to any men listening, I recognize you're all emotional as well. That
Yes.
wasn't
Thank you
that
for your
wasn't my
support.
intention there. But that was led by a child. He
Yeah.
was what, 7 at the time, and he brought laughter in the beginning and tears at the end. They got to experience healing from the young boy within themselves in that moment. And this is why the whole being, all of humanity, from 0 to 120, 300, 600, perhaps in the future we can keep going. But like the whole being gets to be invited in the not just the ceremonies, but the play, the practice, the mastery of remembering who it is that we truly are and our role here. And what do we want that to be? What do we want that to look like? We get to create that together. We get to render the field through
Yes.
our intention, through the the hologram.
Yeah. Well, and that's so mm, that's all so good. I love it because when we're talking about that, it's like it's the amplification. Like it's putting it to the highest denomination. Like the more people that we're putting in, it's like 10 plus 10 doesn't become 20. It's like 10 times 10 is 100. And then you add someone else's 10 and that's 1,000. And then, and so like this amplification. And then it's like, okay, well, what if everybody's putting in millions? And then we're like getting into numbers that are bigger than our comprehension really quickly of
Mhm.
this energy that we're sharing. And when we're tapping into that field, again, it's why I love the hologram, is because it's that containment. It's like, let's really build this energy together. Like, let's weave in and play here together and be in whatever this is so we could do the alchemy, so
Mhm.
we could move the energy, so we can play with all of the material that we have and intend it shift into this other thing. And so when we're doing that, One of the ways that we do that is with group coherence. And so we create this container of light around the group. And then through the center of that, we have a beam of light that's connecting to source and the earth heart. And then each of us are connecting our hearts to that central pillar of light
Hmm.
so that we're in this shared co-creative field where we are sharing that intention, doing that, calling in our guides, like really being in co-creation with each other and with all of creation and all of these creative materials in a way where we can contain it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, and then we're like knowing that it's bigger than us. We're not just intending only what we want, but we're actually intending the highest and greatest good of all. So, in a very literal sense, as much as I want you to have a healed shoulder, I want you to have what's ever in your highest and greatest good, which goes beyond my idea of what your shoulder has anything to do with. Because your shoulder may be telling you about something else that's going on. So if we just took the shoulder thing out, you would miss the message of the other thing that the shoulder is like bringing you to.
Hmm.
So your highest good may look like something else telling you about something else that unweaves this thing that's going on with your shoulder in the way that's right for you. But it may not just be this like instantaneous, like the shoulder fix, as well as everything else.
Yeah.
Like we're getting closer and closer, I think, to that speed of manifestation. Um, and we have these things, these physical representations to help us clue into the emotional undercurrent. Like the physical body is a code breaker for this like very in-depth system that goes, I mean, there's so many systems within the systems, and then there's the energetic systems around those systems.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of information that the body is helping us code and orient, and our brain too, which is why we're like, you know, living in a world with a lot of stressors, and it can be really easy to be like out of self
Yeah.
and out of that instrument and out of practice with the instrument and out of play with the instrument and out of tune. And so when we are speaking about gentle, we want to tune everything as gently as possible. We
Right.
don't just want to be like twisting and cranking and nutting and
Oh,
bolting and all
the
these
strings
things,
will
but
snap.
like
You do that to a guitar, the strings snap.
exactly.
We
And so
don't
we're
want
not trying to
that.
like snap strings because then that takes way more repair. Whereas if we could tune it gently, then we can like keep the thing as well as we can. And then when we have to replace it, we will. That's part
Hmm.
of the repair. That's part of like right relationship is understanding the instrument in such a way that we're like maximizing it and loving it and preserving it while also like enjoying it and really like getting to play with it. But then
Hmm.
like caring for it for longevity, assuming that that's what we want is longevity.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the care of the physical instrument, and I think that's what's exciting is that the kids want to know about all the different ways to care for themselves. Just like we're seeing this explosion of wellness and all the different things where people are like, I could do this and this tool and biohacking and optimization and all the things. It's like there's
Yeah.
so many routes and playgrounds. So can we be like open and curious and follow what we're really feeling the draw and pull towards? It's like resonance.
I think in my experience with my son and his friends is that kids do care. They do really want these tools. There are more options. They
Mhm.
want to be included. They want their needs to be met, and they are expecting of that. And I think that's an invitation to the entire world, not just parents, but the entire world to acknowledge we don't have to suffer. Like we get to learn and we get to choose better, and we get our choices get to ripple out to all beings. And that is, again, like that harmonic field. We learn and we share. We're not gatekeeping these tools. We learn and we share.
Yeah.
You pulled a couple of cards before we started recording. One of them was be the teacher. Is that right?
Be the student.
Be the student. That's right. Be the student. And that's, I feel like when it comes to nature and even children, be the student.
Mhm.
That's my message to myself. I can approach things and be like, what can I teach? Like, how can I teach my son this or that? But maybe what works best for us actually is if I ask a question, then
Mhm.
listen, then respond with what I
Mhm.
have to offer in communion with what he's asking.
Yeah. Yeah, they're such great teachers. And For me, it's been a really actually empowering outlook on life is to see everyone as a teacher. Like everything is a teacher. Like there's always something that can be learned here. And when we bring kids into the conversation, you're going to see who actually knows what they're talking about because they can have a conversation about it with children.
Hmm.
And so our ability to translate these things, like while it is so beautiful and brilliant to be able to do it in flowery language and like high level ideals, can you have that conversation with this little person in front of you?
Hmm.
Because they're going to understand if you're actually like blowing smoke or if you're like telling them what's real. And so there, it's an uncomfortable gauge because it really does put your everything kind of on the test. It's
Yeah.
like this pure little reflection here is asking you if you're actually like walking what you're talking. And they know that without you answering that question or them asking.
Hmm.
But they're looking at you to see if you're real. Like, how real does this go? How deep does this go? Can I learn from you about that thing that you're saying you could teach me?
Hmm.
And so, like, kids are fascinating to me. I love watching how they interact with the world because it's a really great meter of
Oh, yeah.
like where somebody's at is those little interactions. And, we have been having conversations the past couple days about this like children and animals and the way that they're really truthful in their being.
Yeah.
And so the listening being such a huge part of that, especially with animals, because they can't just tell you. And a lot of times kids can't just tell you either. Eventually they get better and better at telling you, but so much of that communication is happening beyond language.
Yeah.
And so sound is one of the bridges, right? Sound is how we understand. When my dog's trying to tell me a message, like when kids are saying these things, they're using sound as a form of expression to communicate. And so when we're looking at like I think 90% of communication is nonverbal. So
Mm.
the
Yeah.
majority of communication is not even happening through the words that we're saying. And so our ability to sit and be with kids is to be listening to them, whether or not they're using words. And that is what the invitation of being and creating these spaces and living your life in harmony with the whole is that kids are a part of this conversation and the musical and the symphony. And arguably, they're the most important part because I watched this video the other day and it's this young girl and she's singing the opera and it's like panning to the audience and just, I mean, she was exquisite. And the crowd is just like losing it. Like people are just bawling. And it's because they can convey these intense emotions and experiences and wisdom and embodiment of something that they may not actually have experienced yet. But they could tune into this whole arrangement and offer us this expression that just gets right into it. It's like, oh my God, that just set me on a whole emotional experience. And I got double sent because that just came from a kid. So there is such a richness in that. And there's so much value in that. And when we get into healing, like what I'm supporting with clients, it's always coming back to inner child work. Like it is always us finding these elements of ourself as children that help us feel and become whole. Like when we're pulling in these fragmentations to wholeness, there are a lot of the kids that we're like going and picking up, finding the bus stops for. And children can help us move through those experiences faster because they're these little living representations of things and things we want to protect them from and things we witness them experiencing and we're like, oh man, that kid's feeling that. I remember when I felt like that.
Yeah.
They could just help us find those pieces. And so kids are so fundamental to the equation, as are animals, as is all the elements in earth and all these things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm so grateful and excited and inspired because the consciousness is still rising.
Yeah.
And the kids, like, it isn't just this arrangement, like, okay, when you said yes to becoming a parent and then this relationship starts. It's a relationship way before your conscious little human decides, okay, I'm
Yeah.
ready now.
Yeah.
And so not only are there like the kids when that happens, but those kids are on other dimensional planes
Mhm.
playing with you right now, saying, I want you to play because you better play with me when
Yeah.
I come in. Or
Hmm.
your higher
Hmm.
selves together are like, wish you two would just remember you could play about it instead.
Hmm.
So we have this spiritual existence of consciousness that is outside of our physical perception of reality that is helping inform us and invite us into play, into like right relationship. And that level of preparation to hold the kids that are coming in now. It's a whole other ball game to be a parent right now with
Hmm.
the convergence of energies and timelines that's happening on Earth. So
Yeah,
to say yes to that rodeo, you got a special little being that is saying yes to you specifically.
exactly. Yeah.
And whether or not they're incarnating now, because some of our viewers and watchers are going to be people who know that they're going to be parents of one of these kids, but it hasn't happened yet,
Yeah.
is that you are being prepared for that because
Yeah.
that is like the biggest psychic initiation that you could go through is that portal together. And you can't, like we talked about the psyche breaking. We are trying to minimize as much of that as possible. We can't stop that. That's going to happen. That's part of the energy being as big as it is. But as much as possible, we want that to be like regulated.
Yeah.
So you are going through a journey that is safest for you, safest for your awareness and expansion, so that when they come in, they could be their full little selves, and you're going to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Or if you're like not knowing what they're talking about, you're comfortable in researching it, reaching out.
Yeah. Or have like the tools to be present with it and the community to offer co-support. Because like it's better when we do it together,
Yeah,
really.
totally.
When you mentioned the inner child work, it just one of the messages that came through in the early channeling for this project, there was a question posed to me when I'm thinking about what sort of activities should I bring in
Mm.
that will support all beings, right? I have things that I do at home. I feel like that's going to be quite natural because all of what I'm offering is something that's been practiced for a very long time. And when we get into that, we can kind of forget the little steps along the way. What was most helpful? Like, I know what is great right now for a 10-year-old boy, but like, what was most helpful when he was 2? Like back when he was 4, when he was 7, and in that phase where he was like kind of branching away from my org field a little bit more in a way that was necessary but uncomfortable for me and uncomfortable for him. We could feel it, and then it would come back, and it was just like all of that. So, what are some of these activities? And the answer that came through was like, first of all, the first thing was like, you already know. So it's
Always.
very, very common of my guides to be like, you already know the answer to this
Yeah.
question. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
How many more confirmations do you need?
Yeah. um, that reminds me of one time I received a visual of a guide like holding a frying pan and hitting me on the head with it. Like it didn't happen, obviously. It was not painful, but
Yeah,
it was
there
like
you
their joke. I asked a question. They're like, we've already
go.
told you.
Mhm.
And the visual kind of like had me sit up straight. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I was asking because I was doubting. That's where that came from.
Mhm.
So a realign, it was a joke, but also it worked. But anyway, the first answer was, you already know the answer, you already know. So then I wrote down a bunch of things and like, okay, some of these will work, some of them they won't. It just depends on the group. You know,
Mhm.
the next thing they were having me recognize that a lot of these kinds of retreats and workshops are to connect with your inner child. They said, imagine a world where adults don't need to do that because they were never separated in the first place, because they were never told not to play, not to imagine. Imagine a world where that's not necessary.
Mhm.
And people, parents today, whether you realize it or not, have been invited into that through conscious parenting, through peaceful parenting, through nonviolent communication, through like ditching forms of punishment that are punitive, like that were imposed on children not that long ago. We've all been invited into that to some degree. And that is that those waves that you're talking about, some of them come in big waves and some of it is gentle and slow, so that there's always progress,
Mhm.
whether it's like happening in a big explosive way, wow, everybody woke up, we have this grand solar flash and everything is all better, or there's this continuation, a gentle flow. And so we're all weaving with all of these different timelines. And
Yeah.
there are children ready to incarnate who will not tolerate the being separated from their imagination, their joy, from their magic, because that's not the world they're agreeing to enter in.
Mhm.
Maybe they already have, and it's just not what they're choosing. It's not like this was all bad and we need to reject it. It's like we have learned, we have grown, we have developed a level of mastery. It has been a wild, wild, wild ride.
Mhm.
And now we need to hold the field for something more beautiful.
Mhm. Well, I think what is cool for me in that, like, this is part of what I do, but also part of what I teach is that, like, we're really ultimately creating safety so that the inner children can come out. Like, what is it that this person didn't hear or didn't experience that they need to experience to feel safety?
Yeah,
And how do we show them that they can create that safety for themselves, actually, that that is what is going to be, and it ends up being the medicine that they're here to serve with, is where did that safety not exist? What have you spent your whole life trying to find safety around? Because that, when you do find it and then you live in it, that is the greatest medicine that you can offer the world. And so for me, like, that's why this work is so meaningful to me, is because my vocal expression was the thing. Like, when I was a little baby, apparently my parents would know that I was awake because I would just be like singing and making up little songs. And then they would be like, oh, she's awake again because she'd just come in singing, like coming in hot, right? Just before words, I was making these little songs. And I was raised Catholic, and so being able to sing in church, there's something that's so, for me, that was like, oh, I just loved it. Like getting to sing in a chorus of people that are just singing, and nobody really cares if they're singing bad or good, they're just singing the song. And I really loved that. And, I was in chorus and I loved using my voice. But as time went on, I started seeing all these rules around, like, it's okay if you could sing, and it does matter if you're good or bad. And like,
yeah,
pop stars be auto-tuning and Photoshop be photoshopping. And like, all of these things were kind of showing that that natural expression was less and less welcome.
yeah,
And so I was shutting down the gift that I had come in, like, born knowing and doing before anybody could talk me out of it. I was going to be doing it, into choosing to not sing. And so I ended up leaving the Catholic Church and stopping singing at around 18. There was enough that had happened in my life, my own like death and rebirth portal, where I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna like set that one aside because obviously that's not for me.
mm,
And so then, just getting into the prescription life of, you're going to do this, and by this age you'll do that, and you'll da da da, follow this
mm,
little plan. Even though I had like had enough courage to walk away from the Catholic Church, I was still prescribed to all of these other, like, this is how you should do life sequences.
mm,
And so when I started coming back into myself, that started with a journal practice. So I was comfortable like hearing my own internal world. And then that became the energy practice where I could really be with my own energy body.
mhm,
And then that moved into the sound expression. So it was about, how can I create safety for myself? Because for me, journaling, that was taking me to inner child stuff. I was in recovery. That was like, you start doing the step work, that's like taking you to inner child stuff. Like, it's really, for me, that's what I started seeing, is like, oh wow, really all this come back to childhood. But it's not about like shaming ourselves or our parents or the other people who were a part of it. It's about like finding and understanding the energy there, and like what we needed, what we wanted, what we desired, what we came in hot knowing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then building that safety again. And so it wasn't just like, oh, okay, it's been talking to my inner child like once or twice from time to time, and then like now I could just like be on stage singing. Like, no, there was like a whole progression of
mhm,
coming back into right relationship with those gifts and that expression. And I'm still meeting parts of myself. Like, I was just having a conversation with a friend about reverb and how it makes our voices sound so good, but then it's like, there's also beauty in just that raw expression
mhm,
without auto-tuning it. And like that fear that exists of like, if I start auto-tuning it, then what about when someone hears my real voice?
yeah,
And so being in this world of like enhancement,
mhm,
and then how that can distort the expression. And so like what does creating safety for myself and playing where it's like, yeah, I love reverb. It does sound so cool. And can I still make sure that I'm keeping that creativity and that tenderness with my voice and my expression as it is right now? Whether
Mm,
that's in my home or whether that is on a stage or whether that's in a park or wherever it is, because it's not just using my voice in sessions and in meditations, it's all the time how I'm using my voice.
yeah,
And the more that I'm showing up to that practice of using my voice and exploring it and doing these little ditties and toning and humming and all the things that I do with it, that is empowering my voice in every other situation that I'm in, every other form of expression. And so that's what's going to be healing for me is me telling my story and coming back to my voice and then sharing it. And so maybe other people who suppress their voice and had stuff going on with that that are right, they were little kids that were singing too. They were like, oh my God, I love to
yeah,
sing, but I
yeah,
just kind of stopped doing that, or I didn't think it really mattered, or I just kind of put that on the shelf as not for me. Like
yeah,
your voice is needed too. Like we actually do need you expressing that. We would love it. It would help all of us if
yeah,
you let yourself have those little ditties and hums and tones and things. That
yeah,
would make your body feel really good,
yeah.
and it would make all the other bodies feel really good. So that invitation is something that I am here to help share.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so necessary, needed, and I didn't know that about your journey with the voice. Yeah, I resonate with that. A lot of similarities. I also grew up in choirs and sang in different churches and things like that, and I loved it when people sing together, when they harmonize together. It's magnificent. This is one of the things I talked about, like not forgetting the gifts or rejecting them, but choosing to keep them silent.
Hmm.
And when I decided that I no longer wanted to, I don't know, like poison my own expression, suppress it, it felt like it was painful to not do it. I don't know if that's what you experience. But it felt painful to suppress that because
Yeah.
it became a fear that was perpetuated because
Mm.
I had turned off the freedom to
Yeah.
do so. And so remembering that was um process
Hmm.
again with the nervous system. Had to remind myself that this is safe no matter where I am.
Hmm.
Some of it started with saying something really truthful to the person you're most nervous to say it to. That's one
Hmm.
way we can do it, right?
Hmm.
But I'm so grateful that I did go through that because when we feel safe with something, then we can learn to master it
Yeah.
or allow it to become mastery through us.
Mm. And then that's multi-generational healing.
Yeah, totally.
So we want to talk about how we're breaking the chains of our ancestors. It's that. It's that like why would we not be able to play a little vocal game with our kids like that? Where we could just all make a tone and that would just be safe and normal, that we would just be down to harmonize even in the grocery store. That like that
Yeah.
level of comfort of this is the new normal. There is no normal, so if we're going to create what normal is, this is one thing that's we're going to normalize. And yeah,
And
it's
silly
such a
sounds too. That works too. It
silly
doesn't have
sound,
to be
the
sound
whole
at all.
range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because our voice is the most healing instrument that exists for our body.
Yeah.
It is literally a self-tuning creation. The other things outside of us can also help us tune, right? Another tuning fork can help us tune, but it's also self-tuning. So it knows actually the tone that it needs. So can we consciously get out of the way enough that we could tune in on another level of consciousness and interpret, hear what that body is asking for, and then express that.
Mm-hmm.
So can we get comfortable playing in that? Like, okay, if that shoulder from before is bothering me, what tone does that shoulder need? Or what range of tones? Like, what sound would that shoulder express? What sound would make that shoulder feel nice?
Yeah.
If that shoulder didn't hurt at all, what kind of sounds would I be making? And so really it creates this whole play. Like there's so much available to play when we open up to the voice as a healing instrument. Healing instrument for my body, for other people's bodies, for the bodies of the people I love, for the whole earth body.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm like making tones and like feeling good and living love and or asking for help, like all the different layers of sound, And the way that we're inviting them in, it's I just keep saying magic because it kind of is. It's kind of like we
Yeah.
got told that magic was like tricks and trickery, and there is some of that,
Yeah.
but there's also this whole creative, etheric environment that is intelligent and very, very conscious and playful.
The difference between the forms of magic that we talk about, whether something is trick or performative, I feel really comes down to, well, what is the relationship we're having with it? What is the intention? What is our relationship, our field, our being? And when we can slow down to get out of the mind and into the body, the whole body, including the light body, including the etheric body, we're not limiting the word body to just flesh and bone,
Yeah,
right? It's the whole body.
yeah.
Then this isn't a rejection of the mind, because the mind is powerful, it is necessary, we need it. This is out of the mind and into the body, and let the mind listen, and then we create together, so that we evolve in wholeness, so that we create in wholeness, so that we're not just doing the thing that's like quick, quick, quick without integrated awareness.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
So one of
Or,
the things with the light body, Dr. Paul talks about in the teachings is talking about how when you're connecting your body to your light body, like you can concentrate on your etheric skin so that you have like this level of your skin, of your
mm,
energy body that's like all surrounding your body. And then you're expanding that out into the sphere because the sphere is connected to all of intelligence, to all of the universe, to all consciousness, to all higher consciousness. So we're like bringing all of those bodies together in our imagination as we're like expanding that out and connecting to this higher field. So it's about being here while holding the reality that you are also here. And
mm,
so that level of conscious creation that this body and this body are one, and that automatically means I'm connected to the all, to the oneness. So it's like a way of, yeah, I think the importance of just this multiple body conversation, that this physical body is gonna need some time and integration as more and more of that awareness of what that even means to have a light body. Because we haven't even talked about what you would use the light body for. Like any kind of traveling around, both physically and otherwise, like that little vehicle is helping you do.
yeah,
So there's going to be levels of integration of what that is, but at a most basic level, if everyone could imagine that they have a sphere of light around them and that that is a loving sphere
yeah.
that connects them to higher intelligence and
It's a
to the
part of you.
field
Yeah,
that that is you
yeah,
in a way that other beings can experience you,
yeah,
we're going to have a way more time co-creating and playing on Earth.
yeah. Definitely Hawthorne teaching for sure present here. I can see how much you have woven with their teachings through the holographic sound, and
Yeah.
how you were prepared for it.
Oh, my whole life, multiple
Yeah.
lifetimes. It was a like this is for sure convergence for me. I'm so grateful for my many contributions to Ascension and just like all of us have been, right? Like everyone's soul's got a little bit different of a journey, but we have all come here for this convergence. And I don't while it may be some souls' first time on Earth, I know a lot of us have been coming here and working with these different beings and planets and ascensions and star families and
Mm.
uh, elements and elementals and different timelines. And so we've all been doing the work to mastery. And I attribute my ability to jump here as like, we've been putting in reps. And
Mhm.
at the same time, like a big part of this teaching is surrendering who I think I am into this larger knowing and being willing to be a conduit for that. Being willing to say, I know that I don't know that much, but I know that I'm love. I
Mhm.
know this whole thing is love. And I know all the beings, if I'm really looking at it and really sitting with it from my heart space, is communicating love to me in all these many different reflections. This big whole creative pool. That's not to say I like don't go through my stuff. I do. But like these teachings registered as reality to me in a way that is so like I would just love everyone to understand these teachings. I would love for this material to come into consciousness so that we could work and play that way.
Yeah, together.
Together, we could
Mhm.
co-create and we could really be like gently, lovingly supporting the whole and the individual at the same time in a micro and a macro,
Mhm.
all of that. And yeah, holographic sound healing technology to me is a part of this ascension journey. And so I'm just so excited that we're here and to have this like future mean like not only are adults tapping into what that means,
Yeah.
but children are too.
Yes. And their future selves tapping in and being like,
Yes.
let's get on with the program.
Generations forward and backward are
Yeah.
contributing to the right now.
Yeah.
And like what a gift it is to be here in this point. And I'm so grateful to be a channel because what is coming through me is far, far greater and more intelligent than me.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to like get to have these conversations and share these transmissions and share these teachings and co-create here. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks for inviting us in. I'm so excited for what's going to continue to be created. This is just a dream come true, a dream that was planted in liquid light many years ago, and seeing it come into fruition is so
In
delightful.
a whole new way. Do you just for anybody listening who would love to connect with you
So,
before they arrive at our retreat, it's like
yeah,
a little hint, everybody. Do you do virtual sessions? How does
I
would
do.
that does that work sound
Yeah.
wise? Okay.
Yeah. So, working with me, the best way to describe what I do is rainbow alchemy. So we're
Mm,
bringing in all of the everything. So
mm,
it's a mix of sound and energy and intuitive guidance and um, yeah, everything that's appropriate for you in that time, right? So it's a
mhm.
co-creation. So I do work with people both remotely and in person. So
Mhm.
if you're interested in exploring that with me, I would love to get to know you and get to play and co-create in the space of alchemy. Um,
And for in
I
person, you're kind of like, can I say you're a bit of a nomad these days, so
I
you are
am.
popping around, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
So
So
that
there's a tour that I'm on. So my tour is sacred space and holographic sound related. So I'm
mhm,
going to different places, essentially creating communities. So I teach holographic sound healing. So I'm exploring communities where that is asking to
mm,
be birthed and shared and um, little soul family pods ready to go on that journey together. So this is an exploratory time with me. But I do offer in-person retreats. So anyone who's looking at experiencing this work a little more deeply, that's the best way to work with me in person. So that's either like a half or a full day experience where we're really getting into the work. That could be private, couple, family groups. Yeah, so really just supporting with these sound experiences, with these
mm.
multidimensional tune-ins. Yeah, lots of different ways. And then I also do virtual meditation circles. So for anybody who is wanting to tap into the field and like experience a little bit of this, but in a group setting, it's the meditations are always awesome. So yeah, a few different ways, but Rainbow Alchemy is the umbrella of ways to work with me and that I'm so excited to be sharing.
I love that. I love that anybody listening can just like connect in with you, and if you're not in their area and they want to do it in person, you might be.
Yes.
You might,
Yeah. And that's
you might
very
be soon.
much like by request also. So it's sort of
Yeah.
like this tour is sort of designing itself and spirit is at hand. So if you're feeling the resonance and you'd like me to work with you or your group or your family or your team or host a training in your area, this is my signal that I'm out in the world operating and open to those conversations and collaborations. So
Following the drumbeat.
always
Yeah.
surrender to it at this point. It's more fun to dance along to it than resist it.
My son laughs at me all the time because one of the things that I really like to say to people that say something like amazing that they're doing is like, I want to be you when I grow up. And I just like, it's like I don't want to be anybody but myself. But when
Yeah.
I see people just like so authentic and doing what they really feel called to do unapologetically, there's something within me that just feels so good
Mm,
to experience it and to reflect it back to them. So when you're sharing this, I'm going to follow the drum beat, like I'm a bit of a nomad right now, I'm going to go where I'm called, like there's something within me that says yes
Mhm.
and thank you.
Thank
And I'll join
you.
you sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do it. And that's the thing is we didn't even touch on in this conversation, but grid work is
Yeah.
so integral to what we both do. And to all of our viewers
Yeah.
and listeners, like if you made it this far into this conversation, hello, you're a grid worker. You're going to be invited to follow the drum too if
Yeah.
you haven't already.
I know.
Um, because
Because
yeah,
this retreat in Taos is not the only one. It's just the first
yes,
the
of this
first beat of this. Yeah.
iteration.
And there's
Uh-huh.
so many more. And
Hmm.
collectively, individually, all of that. So for sure, you're a good worker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome
Yeah.
to the club.
Yeah, Earth
Fun.
is like communicating to you from every direction, like really inviting you to tune into your root system and to connect with the roots around you and to connect with the waters, like and the crystals and all of these elements because they are our guides. They're the tuning forks that are helping us connect to those places so that we can have the most easeful journey there and we can connect with who we're meant to and we can find those sacred places we're meant to go to and we can feel those feelings, express those things, move that energy alchemize it.
Yeah.
And so we are agreeing to be these little supercomputers to plug into the bigger supercomputer and to bring all these codes around and to be little pollinators and little activators and little nuclear receptors that are turning down the energy. Like we're just doing this harmonizing thing here.
Mhm.
And so our moving of our bodies helps open and move these energies. So
Mhm.
yeah, some of us are really integral that like we get to be there and bleed there and sing here and leave this and do that and meet this
Mhm.
person and change this story and this code and this frequency and have this interaction. Um, there's so much that's happening through us.
Yeah.
So this grid work, this drumming, like
Yeah.
if you feel it, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It
Sure.
it is just kind of calling you and never really goes away. Like the Jumanji board is just like beating, like saying, come play, come play, come play,
Yeah.
come play.
I think it's really also important to just like acknowledge that there can be this questioning that comes up like, but what? What if this or how or whatever? And the
Yep.
thing that comes back to me often, again, my guides are like, you already know, we've told you this, or you just know that is to they're not expecting us to jump off of a cliff. Our higher selves is not expecting us to jump off a cliff and learn how to fly while we're free falling.
Mhm.
Instead, the middle path, the gentle path,
Mhm.
the path of authenticity, of grace, of physical ascension with our planetary body, with the mother, with all beings, is to trust that as we step, the ground appears beneath our feet.
Mm.
It's one step at a time.
Yeah.
Don't have to, we we already know how to take one step. So you take this one step, the most perfect action you can, be there fully, the ground will appear. And again and again and again. And eventually, like we've just created this path for others to follow in their own way. Not follow as like sheep, but just like this is like the journey of the way shower. You know, you
Just like
make the
others
path
did
by
for
walking.
us. Others
Like
did for us. They said, we're up here. There's going to be steps. Just take the step. There's going to be more. Because sometimes it does feel like you're jumping off a cliff. It's like I literally cannot see anything in front of me. I'm terrified to take this single step
yeah.
because there is no guarantee there's something there. But someone ahead of us said, yes, there is. You could
Yeah.
cross it. And so
And
we're sitting there putting that hum frequency. Yes, there is. You
yes,
can
there is.
cross it.
And they say, here's how I did it.
Yeah.
But
Breadcrumbs.
you don't have to do it my way,
Hmm.
right? We do have
Thank you
individual
for
paths.
tuning
So we
in.
say, yes, we will share
Thank
the
you for your
generosity of
light.
spirit, the
Thank you for
generosity of
allowing
heart.
your
We will
presence.
share because these tools
If this
do not belong to
conversation
us. They are not our
resonated
own.
within your heart
We
center,
are in
please
co
reach out to
creation. We
us.
are
We
in
want to know you.
a
We want to
relationship
create with
with
you. We want to be
life
a
as life.
harmonic
And so
community.
we share and we
We
hold the
love
space
you and we'll see you
for
soon.
everyone
Yeah.
who's it's an invitation, everyone who's
Yeah.
choosing.
Yeah. And we all get to choose. We have way more choice and agency than we think we do. And when we decide to take that step, step
Mhm.
becomes available.
Okay, so I
Yay.
do you want me to link to Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is a great way to find me, MaddieBee.energy, and my website is the same, MaddieBee.energy.
Perfect.
MaddieBee.energy, in case the dog was barking.
No, I heard like a little bit, but I welcome the medicine of our friends that are with us. Okay.
Thank you
Thank you so
all.
much.
So delightful. So appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your presence. If this conversation resonated within your heart song, please reach out to us. We want to know you. We want to create with you. We want to be in harmonic communion. We love you, and we'll see you soon.